Hey everyone, welcome to this month's Rebecca, and we are so excited this month. As you can see, there's more than 2 or 3 of us here. Anyway, my name is Rebecca Yager. I'm coming to you from the big city of Dallas, Texas, and my partner in books is Rebecca Reed, coming to you from rural Indiana. Hello, Rebecca.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Doing well. Tell us what's going on here tonight.
Well, after some much, I don't know, email prodding, I guess, we were able to wrangle all these lovely ladies here tonight to talk about our series. We have not done this before. This is new. So this is Chasing Fire Montana, and these are 4 of the 5 lovely authors. We're hoping the other one is able to get on here too. So we have Susie May Warren with us today. We have Lisa Phillips, and they together kind of thought up this idea. So we're going to find out more about that. I'm excited to hear how that came about. We also have Kate Angelo and Michelle Aleckson with us today. And so we're really excited to have everyone, and I can't wait to hear more about this series because we certainly did enjoy it. We loved reading all the books and the characters. It was fun having read other books that had these characters in them, so it was really fun to revisit them and see where they were now and a little bit more of their backstories. And so I guess we'll start with Lisa and Susie. Like, just kind of tell us, where did this idea come from? How did you get together and put all this lovely stuff together for us?
Well, maybe I'll start and then Lisa can jump in. Well, for one, I've been a massive fan of Lisa Phillips for a long, long time. And so she had started writing for Sunrise as a lead author with some fabulous authors. And we just had a blast with that series. And we got together. I don't remember where we were. Maybe she can remember. But we started to think, what if we put our worlds together? So Lisa has a fabulous world. She's got a number of fabulous worlds with fabulous heroes. And I have this fire world of this, hotshot kind of world in Montana. And we got our heads together and we said, what if we took Lisa's world and my world and put it together and created a really awesome 6-book series that would come out over one summer? And it's kind of the concept of, I love bingeable TV shows and bingeable series and things like that. And we thought we could take that concept and build an entire series where one book led to the other, to the other. We would bring in characters that our readers loved, but also create new characters. But we needed an amazing team because Lisa and I are very busy and we couldn't write all the books. So we said, who would be the right people to write that? And so we actually handpicked the authors for this because we knew that they were fabulous. We had already worked with them. We loved their stories. And so I did sort of come up with the idea, and then I dumped this whole burning fire mess into Lisa's lap, and she kind of took it from there. So I'm going to let Lisa take over and talk about how she made this all happen.
No, it was fun. So we were together, we were in person, and we brainstormed. I think we brainstormed all 6 books in like 2 days. And it was very much like, this is the right story for this author. And it's like, what's her, what kind of skills does this author bring? What kind of stories does she want to write? And, how do we blend that all together and really merge, Susie's, all Susie's books are in one world. And then all my Last Chance County and Benson, they're all in the same world. And now just converging those all together is a little mind bending. But it was so fun because we have, so just for example, the character that Michelle had, Dakota, was in my Benson series, and then left that series and then shows up in here, and it's kind of like his redemption arc. Well, that character was named from a contest that I ran the year before that. So I met an author, a reader at Storyfest a couple years ago who said, that was my name and you picked my name in this contest. And then now it's like Dakota was a side character and now he get his own story. And so just bringing in, characters that we wanted to write stories about, and then putting them in this, everything's on fire and the world's about to fall apart. Just high stakes story and intertwining it all. And so there was a lot of back and forth of getting all the story threads straight, which is, that takes a lot of finesse, and the authors work so hard with us going, okay, wait, but this and then that. And so they just did an amazing job pulling it all together, being super flexible and just being great authors. Everybody gets to be a great author in their own right, and then it pulls together and just makes a series really strong as a whole, and it's so fun. So it was just plain fun.
It is interesting to me that y'all are, it is 6 books, 5 authors. They each have their own little style, but you're pulling them all together. Plus you have to carry a mystery thread all the way through all 6 books. And so that did take a lot of wrangling. Megan Besing, we're glad you're here. By the way, welcome. Glad you could jump on.
Sorry.
That's great. We're glad you could make it.
Yeah, we are thrilled. So Megan, I'm just going to start with you because you are book 2. Susie wrote book 1. Sorry, I'm not going to ignore you, Susie, with Flash.
That's all right.
Which starts out the whole thing. And then we jump in with one of the newer authors, which would be Megan. And you wrote Flash Over. So Megan, you're quickly, because we want to get to all of y'all, your experiences with trying to take characters from Lisa and Susie's world, but make them your own story and still keep the mystery thread. How much fun was this, and how challenging though? Let's be honest.
Yes, I was super excited because I got to use one of my characters from my other book, from Expired Hope. So it's the brother to the hero there. So I was super excited to get to write his story. And then it really started pulling together. I got to read a rough draft of Susie's first book, and before I turned in my final draft, which was very helpful in connecting the dots of where my story needs to go next. And so that was actually super helpful and made things less challenging to finally try to go, okay, her book is first, so my book needs to go second, and how to make that flow. And that was very helpful for me.
And that's good. And then it has to flow into Michelle's book, which is book 3 of Flashback, with Allie and Dakota's story. Speaking of Dakota, right?
Right. Yeah, so it was fun because not only was Dakota one of Lisa's characters, but they tied him back to one of Susie's way back books. If you're a Susie fan, you probably remember, which one was it though, Susie? The Something in the Night.
Oh, Out of the Night? Wait. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Okay, so you had Dakota, and the female name was, I'm trying to remember. Allie.
Yeah, right. But Dakota has his half brother, or his
Masterson. Yes.
Yeah, Masterson. Yep.
Yes. So Will Masterson was in a book that was set in Minnesota way thousands of years ago. And it was called, I think it was called
Was it Flee the Night? It wasn't Flee the Night.
It was the next one. It was the next one after that. It was like expect the morning, or
escape the morning.
Sunrise,
escape the morning.
Escape the morning.
It's on my shelf.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Everyone's looking at their shelf.
We're all like, yeah, that was the one with the guy and the dog. Yeah.
Yes,
that was a good book.
Thank you. It was fun. So it was really fun so then we tried to figure out how was Dakota, and then we created the whole backstory. So that was great. So then Michelle took off with that one.
And I think that may have even been like the kind of kernel that sparked it. Was I had put my contest results in my newsletter, and Susie actually replied to my newsletter like, I have somebody with the last name Masterson. Maybe they're like brothers or cousins or something. And I think that might have been where the connection started. like,
Yes.
we could actually combine these things. So,
Yep. I think that's exactly right. I think that was the impetus. That was the spark. So yeah. So then Michelle took it and wrote Dakota and Allie's story, which was fantastic.
Right. And Allie, I really got to have a blank slate. You guys are great about that. So that was one way to make it kind of my own. And I actually really like collaborating in a series. And it was we're not strangers if we worked with Sunrise. We're used to collaborating in a series and having to coordinate certain details. So working with Susie and then two other authors in our Deep Haven books, we kind of learned, especially a novella collection where everything's happening within a same week. Like you just kind of learn how to go with the flow. And but I think that's kind of the fun part too.
Yeah. I think that's really great. Well, Lisa, your book was up next, Firestorm, which is right behind you. And I have to tell you that both Rebecca and I really liked Jane and Charlie and Orion, and we loved the story because they were kind of an older couple coming back together, and that was a little fun too.
Yeah. So he was an existing Last Chance County Fire and Rescue, and he was always a little jaded, and it was like, divorced, but I'm not sure if I mentioned he had a daughter, and then it was like, developing that backstory. Well, why did he leave this kid behind that he didn't know? What happened with the girl he walked away from? What happened with his marriage? How did that fall apart? And just building this story. And then I got a lot of help from one of my readers who gave me a lot of information about the kidney condition that he has. And so, she was really excited that her information got in a book, and she was able to help me. So that was awesome too. So it was, it's like taking a little risk with writing some older characters, but really just, acknowledging it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, here's your love story. Like, you deserved a happy ending and you deserved a second chance. And I think there's something real powerful in that. And then having Orion in the story, in the series, as an existing character is also fun. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And I got to blow stuff up.
Yeah, and you got to kill a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always a good time. And as someone who married her high school sweetheart 20 years after high school, that's why I think I really appreciated that.
Awesome.
On that. All right, Kate, we come to book 5, Fireline. And that is Booth and Nora. Is that right?
Nova.
Booth I can't Nova. Read my own writing here. That is a V.
That's okay. I think we called her Nora so many times because of it's just, I don't even remember how we came up with the names, except for I met a firefighter whose last name was McBurney. And I'm like, I really want to call him Rock McBurney. And they would not. They were like, maybe not so much. But anyway, so I would like to point out, though, that whenever I was writing this book, when we first started talking about it, it was 3 books were going to be hot shots and 3 were going to be smoke jumpers, because I'm like, I don't really know that much about the smoke jumpers other than reading like some of the books that Susie told us to read and then reading her series that came before this. And I really kind of fell in love with the whole like idea of a legacy smoke jumper, which is why I wanted to make Nova a legacy smoke jumper and have somebody in WITSEC that all the books were like trying to kind of figure out the story that was tied to him and to Crispin. And so Lisa sent me her book and she's like, read this. And I was like, this is an amazing book. I love this book, but I thought you were writing about a smoke jumper. And she's like, oh yeah, sorry. And so I was like, okay, so I'll write all the smoke jumper stuff. And then later on she read it and she's like, you decimated the team. She's like, everybody's hurt, everybody's injured, everybody's out. What did you do here? And I'm like, sorry, Susie, we're gonna have to call some people in from Alaska, which I believe has really started to launch a next series. It'll be the Alaska series. So
yes, this is what happens when you let Kate Angelo loose on your series. Everybody dies. Everybody
destruction.
There's fires. All sorts of it's crazy. It's great. It really caused us to be like, okay, let's really brainstorm out what can we do. That was the end, and so I had the opportunity to. I'm sorry. I won't jump in. I'll let
Jump
you.
in.
No, it's your turn.
No.
You go right.
Oh, okay.
You're next.
Okay. Well, I had the opportunity then to write the last one, which was super fun. So I wrote book one, which was really fun because it was it was on a movie set, and it was just a fun, different kind of story. It ignited the fires, right? So, and it was about Emily Micah, who was again, Flash from the Past, that same series that Michelle had written in Flee the Night was Emily. Emily was the daughter of the main characters. And so that was like, okay, wow, Susie's really old. Now we're writing about the children. But I was like, oh, well. So anyways, it was such a fun story to write because it was about an actor, and then she was this mad fan. And anyway, it was great. And so when we got around to the last one, it was really fun because I'd been reading them. I knew all about them. And I thought, what are we going to do? And so we decided that Crispin, he wasn't really actually going to have a story, but Crispin was Megan's character's brother. And he'd been kind of behind the scenes the whole time as, this super agent that had gone missing. He was, kind of people thought he was dead. And clearly he wasn't, because Megan brought him back to life. And so that was great. So then we thought he really needs his own story. So I brought someone down from Alaska, which was super fun because Kate had used a legacy person, and I thought that's a great idea. So I went and made a legacy person as well. And so her brother was Jed Ransom, and so this was Jade Ransom. And so she became the main character down from Alaska to help fill in this holes where, Kate had decimated all the team. So anyway, and then we had Crispin, who was trying to solve the rest of the mystery. And I think that worked out really well because honestly, the mystery was, it wasn't entirely fair to everybody, because what happened is I picked up a thread from a series that I'd been working on and kind of worked that thread a little bit more. So I was trying to use the marketing of Susan May Warren and some of my previous series to work it into this, to get people excited about the continuing thread and what would happen. And so we used it ended up being a little bit of a complicated plot at the very end, but that was my book. So I was able then to pull all of those threads together. So that, I think, worked well, and that was a little bit more fair for everyone. I was kind of felt bad for, anyone who had to write the sixth book, because there was so many threads, right? So it was fun for me to be able to do it. Crispin turned out to be a super fun character because he was tired of being dead and he wanted to be alive, and he really wanted to solve this problem. So anyway, it ended really in a really fun way. There's a bonus epilogue for people that read it. They can get the bonus epilogue, and there's a link to get that. So that's kind of fun. And everybody, I have to say, this was such a fun series. It worked out better than I thought. It sold really well. I was very excited because we had at least, I think all the books were in the top 20 of Amazon at one point, which was really exciting. And we've gotten a ton of feedback from readers and saying how much they love the series and just reading them all together. I think there is a market out there for people that like to read these kind of books, and we've seen that in other kind of series that are out there. Of course, with compilations and anthologies and that sort of thing. But ours is really different because it really was a tightly knit series. And I have to give really credit to all these authors because they worked so hard on the nitty gritty details. I mean, everybody had to it was a team. It wasn't just random people. They worked together. So everybody had to work with the different, hair colors and eye colors and the nicknames and what had happened to them. And we actually found out that Kate had destroyed somebody, and I had brought him back he was in the hospital, and then in my first scene, he was, doing stuff. And so we were like, yikes, we got to fix that, so that was on me. But, it was really great to see how collaborative everybody was. And one thing I think is really important when you do a series like this is you got to hold your story and your characters a little bit loosely. And and everybody was so generous with you. Like when I was writing Crispin, I was like, Megan, oh, what about this? And can you go back and fix this one thing so I can do this? And she's like, sure, and so, so that was really fun. So it was kind of an experiment. And if you guys know me, people know me, I love experiments. I'm constantly, let's try this, but I think it was one that worked. And we are going to be doing something special next summer, that's kind of riffing off of this series as well. So yeah, yeah, we got, Lisa and I have all sorts of stuff up our sleeve.
But I think you touched on it, Susie, that there seems to be a market for this. The readers, they fall in love with characters, and many of you, and Kate, you've written with Lynette Eason before, and Lisa's, they fall in love with the characters and they want to keep bringing them back, and they keep want to revisit their worlds. And so to take Lisa's characters and, your characters, Susie's and others, and bring them in together, I mean, yeah, readers have to love it.
Yeah, it's really an easy marketing ploy, actually. And that, Sunrise was really built on this concept that there are more readers and there are more stories to be told with these series that these authors have started. And so, with Lisa's series, Last Chance County, we rebooted that. We took characters that people wanted to read, and we, kind of rebooted that, and well, not really booted it because it was already going, but we continued it on. And same with like Lynette's and like my Deep Haven series. And we've really seen that readers will respond to more books in the worlds that they love. And so we kind of do try to find what are the best-selling books, what are the worlds, what is selling. But then, that's the whole key to great marketing and great and longevity as an author, is to keep giving your readers what they love, right? So, Lisa is very, very good at this. As a fan, I was always getting more of what I loved from her. And so Lisa and I are always like, we're like two evil scientists working together, and we get together and we come up with ideas. But I think that's been true with all of our authors. They've caught the vision of that, and they've been really, really open to trying new ideas and working with stories and worlds that are already there. And that can be really a challenge. I mean, as someone who has, I wrote after Kate, so I had to go to Kate's world and go, what did she do? So I actually think it makes you a better writer, because you have to know how to use another person's world effectively, and you have to grab their story and their intent and their character, and you have to manage them well. You can't just change them up. So frankly, I think it makes them into better writers, or makes all of us into better writers when we have to do that, because we don't have the freedom of just making up whatever we want. So yeah, it takes a certain talent to be able to do a series like this, for sure.
Well, yeah, because you have to be like flexible with each other, like flexible as an author, but also, if a reader knows, the reader feels like they know this person, even if they were a side character in another story. And so you have to be true to that character and who they are and what their story is. And so it's like looking at, what do we know that they've been through, and what do we know about who they are? Megan did a fantastic job, because she knew, she did the chief in Last Chance County in her book, and then she did, there were scenes with him and his brother, and so now she got to explore, their relationship. So, the same event that happened to each of them, and one dealt with it this way and one dealt with it that way, and it's like, different things shape who we are, and so the reader has to, believe that this is really their story, and you have to, you have to appreciate the reader, or it feels like they already know this person, and deliver a great story. So yeah, it really does make you a better author, and I hope we did it justice, and I think we did. So, and it was, we also had a lot of fun doing it. So yeah.
Well, excuse me, I would agree. I mean, it was nice because they were really easy to read. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to read, so I did listen to some of them, but I actually read some of them too. And even, either way, it was like, I think when I did if I did it on, audio, I only had to devote like 3.5 hours, and I could listen to one. And so I could listen to more than one a day, of course I didn't, because I got them right when they came out, but, that was, and I know that was part of your plan, right? To make them short enough that you could kind of just read them in a day and get through them, and then anticipate the next one, but not have to wait super long. So that was the release schedule was pretty tight. How far ahead did you finish them? Like, how far ahead did you start so that you could read each one?
I ended up having an opportunity to read everybody's before I wrote mine, which is good and bad because then I read that many books ahead of time and to try to know who the characters were and what the voice was. And so I'm like, well, being on the back end, being books 5 and 6, Susie and I had to like make sure that we were catching up with everyone, but we also had a really great spreadsheet with pictures of what the characters were what they would look like so that we wouldn't have to look for those details quite so much. And so that was really great. But also, I think the stories, in a way, kind of stand alone. I mean, you have to have them all to get that mystery thread, but because they're also still dealing with their situation where they're at in their moment, all of those things really open up the story to just lending itself to seeing everything that's happening on the page with the character, and you don't have to pull too much of them into the next story. So, but in my book, I really liked that I was able to use Megan's character to kind of speak wisdom into Booth's life, and that was, I had a different character there. And then Susie was like, well, what if you use him since he's already gone through his change and now he can speak this wisdom to him and bring him back from book 2. And so I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, that was fun. I did remember Emily Micah, by the way, from that other story, and I was telling
Nice.
Becky that she hadn't. I don't think you didn't recognize her, right, Becky? When we were
Not
reading them.
immediately, no, not until we started talking about
And
it.
I was telling her, I'm like, this was a little girl in this other
Yeah.
story. I remember her. So that was, but I think, I think that idea of, the reader coming across those characters like that, it's just such a, like, oh, wow, I remember this person. I mean, that's the way it is, when the readers read those. And as long as you do keep that thread, solid. Obviously they've changed because they're different ages. They've gone through other things, but you have to still have that foundation the same. And I thought you guys did a fantastic job with all of that, because I had read a lot of the books that these characters came from. So I was like recognizing all these people, and I didn't have anything like, I wasn't thinking like, wait a minute, I didn't do any of that. So great job on that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. We had a really fun time going, okay, who are these characters? And so, Lisa and I sat down and said, who could we do? I remember I was like, oh, I could do Emily Micah. And it was, I think Lisa even knew who she was. And I was like, yeah, I could. Yeah. And that was fun to think through, okay, how could we, a lot of book writing when you're building a career is about marketing and thinking through. And I didn't really realize this early in my day. When I first started writing, I didn't realize that if you really want to grow your career, you have to connect your characters in some way. You have to give a reason for your readers to hop from book to book. Even if you're doing a standalone, it doesn't hurt to have something that harkens back. I was watching a reel recently about, like Disney and how, like, I don't know who, somebody, the shipwreck and how it was all connected with like Tarzan and, whatever. And like and how Toy Story was connected with, I think it's Inside Out, and how it was like, that was the mom. Anyway, and you're like, oh, cool, And so, and of course Disney's good at that sort of thing. But I think that as an author, so I didn't really start connecting my worlds until the Christian Sins, until I started doing Where There's Smoke, which was after the Christian Sins. And then I started connecting things as much as I possibly could. I've even pulled in historical characters, and it just really, that was my first experience with reader, I don't want to say reader mania, but reader appetite, I guess is the word, where they were like, yes, I want more of that, and I want more of that, and I want more of that. And of course we built Sunrise on that concept because we felt like we could give readers more and more. And so so when you're thinking about a series, you always got to think, well, who can I put in this series that readers are going to love? Who can I pull in? Who's the character that I can do? And so, building teams and friends and things like that is always a good choice for. So now we have people that are going to be in our second series that we've already seeded into the first series that we're pulling into the second one. I don't know, Lisa, do you want to tell them about our second series? Is it too soon?
Yeah, I do. I do, because there's one thing I want to say, but I also I wanted to talk about Tiger too, because you mentioned the Christiansens. Okay, so I have
Yep.
my teens camp, right? So I'm like, okay, who do I have? Who's in Last Chance County? Who's in Benson? That's like 17, 18. So I got on our Sunrise Discord and I was like, okay, guys, how old is Tiger Christensen? Like, somebody do the math. And they were like, he's probably 17. I was like, perfect. And so, even more than just the two main characters, making them satisfying for the reader, but just dropping in those little things. So I had this one scene where they're in their dining hall at the camp, and Tiger Christensen is playing the guitar to trying to impress these girls, and he's singing Take a Chance on Me, which is his dad's book. And the editor was in a comment that is unbelievable, I love it. And so just just those little things where if you're a longtime fan of Susie, you'll be like, wait a second, I see what you did there. So the last fire and rescue book last year, since we've got more coming next year, the last one last year had Logan and Jamie. So Logan was one of our firefighters, and he is in Chasing Fire Montana as a side character. And so he was actually having an argument with a girl in a restaurant off to the side. And after that book came out, all of my readers are like, when do we get this book? And so Chasing Fire Montana was already in the works, and we were already working on it. So I was like, okay, well, he doesn't get a book then, but, what can we do with him to give him this story with him and Jamie? And so she is in. So what we're doing next year, we're going to have Chasing Fire Alaska, which, if you're a Susie fan, that's just buy now, because I do that too. And so the first book in Chasing Fire Alaska is the one that I wrote, and it's Logan and Jamie. And then we pulled in other characters from Montana, and then we have existing, new, they're Alaska hotshots and smoke jumpers, and then did the same kind of interwoven thread so it's a new plot, new situation, some new people, some familiar faces, some Susie characters that you love, that you want to see again. And it was just really fun to be like, hey, who can we pull in? Who's the boss of this crew, and who can go over here, and where are they now? And the only thing that I'll disagree with Susie on this. Okay. So I put out a series once, and I released them a month apart. The couple in the first book were married before book 2 came out, 30 days later. Susie, she's like, well, it's only been 6 months, so they're not married yet. And I'm like, why? Like, when you know, get married.
It's true. It's true. It's true. I think you could do that. I think you can do that. I think it depends on the situation. But yes, I think that you could do that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, who was I? Did I say that about one of our characters? Was I like?
Yeah, I think it's Crispin and Jade.
Oh yeah, Crispin.
I'm like, why are they not married yet? It's a year later.
Yeah. Did we decide that they could be married? I can't remember now.
I guess maybe we might do some edits tomorrow.
We might do some. It's still in process. That's the fun part about this, is that it's still sort of like smoking. We're still it's still fresh, and Lisa's going in and doing this little thing here and this little thing here, and I'm still getting questions on Discord. What do you think about this? So it is kind of fun to have everybody. When you do a series, you're sort of the first book is written and you can't do much with it because it's set. But when you do something like this, and to go back to our earlier question, we try to have the books done about a year before they come out, or at least the first draft. But we're still working on them, and the first one comes out next spring. So, but we have a very talented team. When you have a talented team like we do, we aren't as worried about getting I mean, we try to iron this mistakes out. We have a proofing team and an editing team. They see the stuff. They let us know if we've made mistakes, and so I have to say that it really depends on the kind of authors that you work with. But once you get the caliber of authors that we have, we're not too worried about, oh no, are they going to be able to turn their book in? Oh no, is it not going to be good? I mean, we know who we're working with. So that is another thing, is that it really depends on the people that you're working with. You have to have a collaborative team. It also helps to have somebody who knows what they're doing, like Lisa. I mean, she really she's the she's the eagle eye on everything, and so she can drop in and fix things as she goes, and she kind of keeps track of everything. So I think those are the two essentials to having a series like this. But if we didn't have such talented authors, we would probably push out the first rough draft, because we'd have to go back and work on stuff. But thankfully we have some really seasoned authors, so that helps us a lot in it. So anyway, yeah.
No, it's great. And to mention your authors here, I know Michelle has other books out, so y'all go look for Michelle Aleckson's books. Kate Angelo, you've got books out. Go read Kate's books. Megan Besing, I know you've written others too. This is a good group. Susie and Lisa, of course, on their own, have their own great, but to put it all together, also as a writer, as a reader, I love this. As a writer, I'm sitting here going, the importance of the side characters, because you never know when they can be plucked out and something else can be done and something else can be created. And well, Rebecca and I talk a lot about side characters that we love, because they can make or break a book, as far as I'm concerned, if the side characters are, really in it, and the settings. And of course, you can't go wrong with Montana or Alaska or any of these.
Well, I was having a conversation with some editors, and they were saying, we keep seeing a lot of authors that are coming from Sunrise, and what is your opinion about that? And I just kept saying, when you see an author come from Sunrise, you better really look at their resume and like what they're offering and their proposal that they're sending you, because we're kind of put through the ringer, but not really through the ringer. It's just
you are.
I mean, it's an easy way to say it. But we are taught
the
so
only easy
much.
day was yesterday, Kate. The only easy day was, that's what we say. We're the buds of writers. Anyway, keep going.
But we do have, when you were talking about, Lisa's like, I can just reach out to Lisa and say, Lisa, I'm kind of stuck here. And then she's got an idea of like, well, maybe don't kill him, but let's just like maim him or something, or she can help me walk myself out. And I always say that I've learned that writing is like looking at a Monet painting. When you're up close and you're looking at every little brush stroke, you can't see the full picture. So when we work with a team like Sunrise with Susie and Lisa and all these other authors that are in here, they're able to step back and see the full picture for us, to see how it's going to come together, and say, put a little more brush over here and put a little more brush and define this a little more, or you've put too much over here. Let's smooth this out over here. And as long as you're like pliable and you're willing to learn and willing to do the work, then the stories speak for themselves, because look at the number of awards and nominations. Megan has multiple Carol nominations and other kinds, and Lisa and Susie as well. And I mean, we just see so many people coming out of Sunrise that are getting awards and nominations. And that just goes to show like we're being brought up through Sunrise and learning set from the very best. So that's why this series is going to be amazing for anybody who reads it, because they come from the two of you guys who are the very best.
Well, it takes a team, and it takes people willing to learn too. So it is a hard program. There is no doubt that the draft author program is a hard one, because there's a lot of digging in, and it is challenging. But we are very pleased with the caliber of writers that have come out of it, and we sort of believe that everybody's a part of the same football team for the glory of God. So we're going to go out down the field and we're going to make touchdowns and together. And so and so it's really fun to see so many fabulous writers, and it's Lisa and I have really rejoiced in watching people's careers grow too.
It's been a great thing to witness, and gosh, I think there's no better place to end this with they're writing for the glory of God, and I know most of y'all personally, and I know your faith, and so that shines through in what you do. Hard work. It's nice because writing is so solitary, to see such a collaborative team effort here, and it shows in this particular series. It's Chasing Fire Montana. All 6 books are out. Go get them today. Now, if you haven't, cuddle up by the fireplace and read them and enjoy it. Ladies, we cannot thank you enough for spending your evening with us and for talking about all the books. And we are looking forward to Chasing Fire Alaska coming next spring, right?
Yep.
Something to look out for. And when Rebecca and I hear about it, we'll post about it as well. So our own readers and our listeners and viewers can be the first to jump on them and buy it. Anyway, Chasing Fire Montana is out now. Meanwhile, Susan May Warren, Lisa Phillips, Kate Angelo, Michelle Sass, Aleckson, and Megan Besing, thank you again for being here. It has been a fun conversation.
It has been fun. Thank you so much.
Really great. Rebecca, we will see you soon next month when we talk to Deborah Rainey. We're going to have a little holiday spirit next month. Meanwhile, check out Rebecca and Rebecca. We're on Instagram. Check out our Facebook page. You can always find us at RebeccaandRebecca.com. We will post the websites for all these ladies here, for this group of authors. And again, check out Chasing Fire Montana today. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye.